things.
Good evening. We are War. We are resilient. Tonight we are joined by Homefront Strong's own. Sorry about that. Gentlemen, welcome to the show tonight. Got to join you, about 2 years now? 3?
Yeah, it's been a little while for sure. I think you're right. I think you attended one of our Homefront Strong Connects trainings. I want to say it was in the time where we were kind of just getting back into in-person events, and we had a hybrid training. So it's been a few years.
I remember because it was me and there was one other person that was on the laptops. And we were like the person that was there as the laptop.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, no, we always have a hybrid format because one of our trainers, John, he actually lives in Minnesota. So yeah, we're always looking to accommodate both in person and hybrid.
Excellent. Do you want to give a quick rundown of Homefront Strong's history, where you guys have come from?
How much time do we have? Homefront Strong. I will try to do this as brief as possible. Homefront Strong actually used to be known as the Brookfield Institute, which, believe it or not, is turning 20 in 2026. It's been around for 20 years. Brookfield Institute was established in 2006. And the individuals who established the Brookfield Institute were all about community trauma healing. And one of our founders, Beverly Presswood Taylor, she was clergy. And in 2006, when there was a devastating suicide that occurred in the community of someone who had recently returned from Iraq, she turned her efforts toward training other clergy around moral injury. And the impact moral injury has on service members. So for quite some time, she was in the training circuit. She had established some local programming. And it wasn't until about 2018 when our paths crossed. I was at that time running a program called Shoulder to Shoulder, which was a military support program for families going through the deployment cycle. Yep. And we paired up on some resilience programming. Fast forward to about 2019, 2020, we went through a strategic planning process. The pandemic hit and we kind of recalibrated. And it was at that time where we adopted the shoulder to shoulder model for a community peer support program of our own. And we became Homefront Strong. And since then, really, our community peer support has grown exponentially. One element of that program was our storytelling program. And that is actually the program that we are focused on today.
Excellent. Now, I know that it's grown from, just being, an outreach and a way to get, veterans to be able to share their experiences with, fellow veterans and supporters. To this event that you guys have coming up here begins November 1st.
Yeah. So one of the most anticipated annual events under our storytelling program is our Shape by Service art show. So in addition to the long form storytelling process, where we train our volunteers to work with service members, veterans, and family members to help them develop, record, and share their stories of service over time, we also encourage all members of our community to share their stories through art. So the Shape by Service Art Show, again, open to anybody who identifies as service member, veteran, or family member, is a non-juried art show. There is no fee to register. And we encourage artists throughout the military and veteran community to submit their pieces. In addition to the pieces on display, which this year we are partnering up with Warriors Art Room in East Hampton to display those pieces for a full 2 months. It starts up this Saturday on November 1st, and the show will run all the way through December up to January 1st. We've also integrated our storytelling, our recorded storytelling component into the art show. So what we do is we encourage our artists to sit down with us and share their stories of service and how they intersect with their experience as an artist. We then play those stories alongside the pieces on display. And this year at our reception, which takes place this Saturday from 4 to 6 at Warriors Art Room, we have 2 of our artists who will be sharing their stories in real time.
Whoa, and that's awesome. Then have they been practicing and prepping for it and doing
Yeah.
the mirror?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, through the regular storytelling program, what we do is we train our volunteers. All of our volunteers belong to the military and veteran community. So everybody is a service member, veteran, or family member. We have an interactive storytelling guide that we recently developed, and we match individuals who will work with one another utilizing the guide on developing their stories of service, and then we'll record those stories. And if the storyteller is interested, we share it. We have a YouTube channel with a lot of stories of local service members, veterans, and their family members. And in addition to that, we encourage our storytellers to join us to become artists. So one element we've added to the Shape by Service Art Show is the Storytelling Through Art workshop. We actually offered our Storytelling Through Art workshop on October 17th. And one of our amazing training professionals, Paula, walked us through a very accessible drawing exercise where individuals brought memorabilia that represents a piece of their story. And they were given instructions on drawing that object using a lot of different line techniques and in different perspectives throughout the evening. So when we engage our artists and our military and veteran community members, it's on a deeper level. So as people worked, they shared the stories behind those objects, and they dove even deeper, sharing the stories of their lives and getting to know individuals they had never met before in the community.
That's awesome. And I'm just gonna throw the YouTube up on the bottom here for a minute to scroll as we continue to go about the events that's happening. You also have here looks like an invitation for the event.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, our kickoff reception is this Saturday, November 1st from 4 to 6 at Warriors Art Room. It's a great opportunity to view the pieces in community with the artists who submitted those pieces. We will have the videos of our stories playing alongside those pieces. Many of the artists who are featured have recorded their stories of service with us or are in the process of recording those stories. And then about halfway through the evening, we have 2 artists who've prepared their stories to share live with the audience. And of course, we'll have other items available. We're going to have refreshments as well as a silent auction of a live Edgewood table that was donated to us by a local artist out in my neck of the woods.
That's awesome. Now, is any veteran family able to join in with Homefront Strong? Do you have to be from Western Mass, or is across the state, across New England area?
Yeah. So Homefront Strong, technically, we are located in the town of Palmer. We do have local programming, such as our monthly morning coffee, which we offer in concert with our local VSO, Tina Broman. However, our storytelling and our Connects programs are open to anyone who identifies as service member, veteran, or family member throughout Massachusetts and neighboring states. So we have had individuals go through our storytelling workshops, our volunteer training programs, and be matched with individuals who are already volunteers from Connecticut, New Hampshire, and even New York. As I mentioned before, one of our training team, he lives in Minnesota. Everything we do, we try to make it accessible. So our storytelling and our connects know no geographic bounds. And we especially try to focus on capturing those diverse stories of service. So here in New England, we have a lot of Guard and Reserve members. I myself am the spouse of an active Guard Reserve member who's served for 22 years. And he's with the 103rd at a Bradley down here in Connecticut. So we really try to engage those Guard and Reserve members in our community, whether you're at Barnes, Westover, Bradley, so that we can share those unique stories of service with our broader civilian community who may not understand what that lifestyle looks like.
Now, with AGR, you said 20 years already?
He's been in for 22.
Wow.
Yeah, he joined in 03. It's been a long ride. He's been AGR since 2010, but he had racked up a lot of deployment time, as you can imagine, OIF, OEF, and D prior to that. So in 2 years' time, he will reach his active retirement. So he will have put in 24 and we'll have a full active retirement. If we can just make it 2 more years, Mike, that's all we need. That's all we need.
I know, the op tempo and everything with the Guard isn't what, a lot of folks, signed up for initially. I know when I enlisted back in 2001, got the 2 weeks a year, 1 weekend a month. And then it slowly became that 1 weekend became, 4 days, you started on Thursday and went through Sunday, sometimes into Tuesday. And, next thing you knew, the 2 weeks a year was, 3 weeks and 4. And then we did a tour in 04, 05, came back from that, then went back 7, 8, came home, 9, 10, came home, 12. And then wound up in the warrior transition unit and got medically retired after that.
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. Post 9/11 Guard service is completely different from what Guard service looked like prior to 9/11. Just like you said, I mean, the 1 weekend a month. I mean, I think my husband had drilled twice last month. I lose track, if I'm being quite honest, because as AGR, whenever he has drill, his work week, he loses all his days off. So he ends up with like a 14-day work week. So yeah, I can't even keep up with it anymore. And then, of course, post 9/11, Guard units started doing federal deployments on a regular schedule. Those titled deployments. I know my husband's unit still every other year, like clockwork. They go on a 6-month federal deployment. That hasn't stopped. It is Title 10. And yeah, it's very different from what originally Guard service was supposed to look like. So
I know a lot of the guys that I went to Iraq with in 07, 08, 9, 10 are now in Africa.
Yeah,
on another mission. And it's like, they came home, did that. They went to Qatar, they came home, it's like every few years, whether they go down to Gitmo or they, there's always, something happening for the mass guard. It seems like, as of late, I don't know if the other states do the same, but we are definitely, a heavily tapped, guard state for deployments and to be, go around the globe.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, my husband's unit, I think, is also in Africa right now. As a matter of fact, they just deployed a few months ago. And as you know, Bradley, Barnes, and Westover, they're sister bases, right? So,
Yep.
we've got the C-130s, we got the cargo, and then Barnes has got the fighter wing, and oh yeah, we're in the same type of loop for sure.
And then we also have this program that you're mentioning. Is a new hybrid.
Yeah, so this photo actually is from the workshop we held on October 17th. This is the workshop that we've added into the Shape by Service art show. So we started doing this last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was, as I mentioned, we initially in order to integrate the Shape by Service art show fully into the storytelling program, we started weaving the stories behind the artist into the art show. So we had the first go around, we asked 4 of our returning artists to sit down with us, share their stories, and talk about where their service intersected with their art. All of those stories are up on our YouTube channel. And they're extremely powerful. And what we were able to do is then take those stories and put them on a loop and have them play alongside the pieces in the art show. But the other piece we wanted to incorporate into it was to invite our storytellers who weren't otherwise artists to create a visual piece that they could also enter into the show. So engaging both the artist and the storyteller on those different levels for full integration. And this workshop was the workshop where we invited individuals who had already engaged our storytelling program to join us and bring a piece of memorabilia that represented their story and create a visual representation. So what you see here is Paola. She is one of our crack training team. She's amazing. She's a professional artist. And she walked us through this really great exercise where all the participants took their piece of memorabilia and they were just able to kind of play with the lines and the shading and use a lot of different media and, and create representations of that memorabilia in a lot of different ways on different pages. And all the while, we went around the room and people shared the stories behind their objects. They were able to ask each other about their stories. And there were some really great deep conversations in addition to, some veterans and service people who are still currently serving who said, I have been so stressed out and so burnt out. I have wanted so badly to return to my creative side, to engage in some artistic endeavor again. And this was the first opportunity some of them had had literally in years to do that, as well as sit down and talk to other individuals who belong to the military and veteran community, which isn't always easy, especially if you live in the rural communities of central Western Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really powerful. It was really powerful to, listen to the different stories and, and witness that connection. And, some of those drawings will be submitted. And even those that won't be submitted this year, we're going to continue to engage those storytellers, help them create those pieces, and we hope to feature them in next year's Shape by Service art show.
Now, are these all folks that had previous backgrounds in art and creating things, or did they some of these folks come into this looking for a new outlet to be able to express?
Yeah, no, a great many of them hadn't had any previous experience, and even those who had, it was more, I think there was only one. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So, we did have the Warriors Art Room family in-house that evening. So, Steve Jones, who's the founder of the Warriors Art Room, his wife Brenda, and their daughter Cheyenne. Steve and Cheyenne, they definitely went to school for art-related majors. So they have art experience for sure. But outside of that, all of the additional participants participants, with the exception of one who is a professional graphic design artist, were really just there to engage as an outlet. It was something, they enjoy doing. They had never professionally, pursued art as a career. Some really fine art or visual art was not their forte, but they were willing to give it a shot. And everybody just dove right in, willingly, wholeheartedly. And with as is with our storytelling, it's all about the process, not the product. So in the end, everybody, yes, they had pieces that they could be proud of, but really it was the experience of sitting down, engaging in the art, and just talking with their neighbors that was most important.
Rebuilding that camaraderie that is often lost when the service
Mhm.
member leaves the service.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that's lost when service members leave the service, and it's something that can be hard to find. Guard and reserve families, as you know, oftentimes we don't live near any major bases or installations. I can say personally, in the 22 years we have been a military family, we have never lived within an hour of any base, including the base my husband drives to every day for work. That's an hour 15 commute one way, right? So when it comes to, leaning on other military families, meeting with them in the community, engaging for support, we just don't have that. Right. We're very much embedded in the civilian community. And it can be really hard to find those families because we're not always terribly visible. So there's so many, there's so many ways in which military and veteran families, or veterans, lose touch or are never able to really make those connections. So yeah, a lot of what we do is all about providing those opportunities for people to come together, to feel like they truly belong, and to bridge those gaps, for sure.
And now we do a coffee and camaraderie event at the VFW in North Attleboro each month. We set up games, card games, board games,
Yep.
video games for the kids to be able to come and play. So that way the veteran doesn't have to choose between spending time with their fellow vets or spending time with their kids on the weekend. They can do both, and they can bring them to the event, and everybody can have something to do for a little while. And it's just even something as small as that just gives people that outlet to be able to have that connection with somebody of shared experiences. And like the coffee that you guys have, I'm sure you guys have the same result where guys sit down and connect with a different generation of veterans that they never would have expected to.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really, really cool. Our morning coffee, for sure. Our morning coffee is, we have about 12 regulars, and that number will fluctuate. We'll add a few every so often. It's definitely, still skews toward the older generation, but they've developed such a close bond. It's like a family. Like I said, we offer it in concert with our local VSO in the town of Palmer, Tina Broman, and we bring in resources. So that's really huge for our constituents, especially those who live in the more rural parts. Just being aware of what's going on in their own community, what's available to them. But I really love the idea of what you do, which is bringing the whole family. And I will say something we do out in Western Massachusetts. We have a service provider coalition called Voice, Veteran Outreach in Community Engagement. And something the Voice group does is we organize what we call family game night. And the family game nights have taken place, somewhat across the state because it's often in partnership with Frost Call. Are you sure you're familiar with Frost Call, and you've had Frost Call on the pod before? So I don't have to get too deep into Frost Call. But they're not as frequent as your monthly drop-ins, but they tend to be just kind of bigger one-off events that happen once, twice, sometimes quarterly in a year. As a matter of fact, we had one planned for tomorrow night that unfortunately was postponed due to low registration, but I imagine everybody's pretty busy with fall activities. But we are planning to host that family game night in sometime in the winter. So definitely, for any listeners, be on the lookout. Voice does have a presence on social media. You can find them on Facebook. And those flyers always go up across all of our different accounts.
We should share those as well.
Absolutely.
And then what's this last PDF you got here?
So the last PDF I shared with you is actually for our upcoming storytelling workshop series. So as I mentioned before, our Shape by Service Art Show is an annual event under the umbrella of our storytelling project. So the way our storytelling project usually works is, again, we recruit volunteers who are military connected. We train them in the art of storytelling and provide them with a foundational background in, making healthy connections with other individuals in the community, offering, assistance, whether that person needs access to resources or just someone, to listen to them, but doing it in a way where they're engaging appropriate boundaries. They're aware of, the trauma and the potential for that impact throughout the storytelling and support process. And then they engage with the storyteller over a longer period of time, develop that story. Eventually, it's recorded and hopefully shared. We have since taken that training and we've turned it into a workshop series where we invite everybody, whether you're interested in being a volunteer, a story catcher, someone who listens to the story, or telling your own story. And we've made it more accessible. So it's a 3-part series. The first part focuses on the art of telling your story. So individuals who participate are provided with our interactive storytelling guide, which walks them through the process of reflecting on their own stories and what that feels like to tell their story. The second part of the series focuses on receiving the story. So we talk about those themes behind stories of service, whether they're themes of trauma or resilience, as well as military culture and the varying impacts service has on different families and service statuses and branches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the third component of the workshop is visual storytelling. So we dive into using memorabilia and photographs to tell the story. And then we engage participants in an interactive collage activity that also incorporates different symbolism and so forth that are commonly associated with military service. So it's a 3-part workshop series. Each workshop is 90 minutes. We are offering this workshop in partnership with Westfield State University's Veteran Services program with Director Rob Vignault. He has opened it to the public, so it's not limited to Westfield State students only. And it will be offered in a hybrid method. So we do have the resources to host participants online. We have since you joined us for the training, we have upped our game a little bit to hopefully make that hybrid experience more accessible. But we also invite anyone who is willing to join us at Westfield State to come out in person and engage these workshops. So 3 dates, November 12th, 25th, and December 3rd. Each workshop will be from noon to 1:30, so it's kind of like a lunch and learn. And we hope to get as many participants as we can.
Sounds awesome. Is there a student veterans organization out there at Westfield State?
Yes. Yep. As I mentioned, the director of the Veteran Services Office at Westfield State is Rob Vignault. He has a thriving veteran and military family community out there. And he's really looking to establish a culture around storytelling at Westfield State. So we kicked it off with Rob actually sharing his story, which you can see up on our YouTube page, which was an extremely powerful experience for everybody there, including his daughter, who joined us as, you know, a military dependent, and learned a lot about her dad that she didn't know. You know, she hadn't known before, and is now interested in learning more about that family history and her parents' story of service. So it can be really powerful. I encourage, again, anybody who's service member, veteran, or family member. So we look for military kids, spouses, you name it, to come out and join us.
And then one last time, I'm going to throw up the invite.
Yep. So this invite, again, this is for the kickoff reception for our Shape by Service art show. It is this Saturday, November 1st at Warriors Art Room from 4 to 6 p.m.
And there's the website there for Warriors Art Room. And that's awesome. It's crazy to see like how like quick you guys have been able to grow and expand and be able to reach, you know, from just the storytelling aspect and to build onto that and be able to, you know, add these additional layers to, you know, to do just more with the story. You know, you've made a visual, you know, aspect to the story now. And, you know, so now you've got a story that the veteran can share, that people can hear, that people, you know, can see the veteran, but now they can, you know, see a tangible piece of art that, you know, that the service member has made, you know, through this. And like, I just feel like art is such an important thing to, you know, so many people, and it is such an outlet to folks when they come home. So
Yeah.
you know, thank you for what you guys are doing out there. You
Awesome.
know, any way that, you know, we can help here at War with the help of Shaven, you know, just let us know. We'll continue to share what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you so much for having us on.
Not a problem. Have a great night. And we're going to go to Travis now with the rest of the show.